he just hit out like this, and I fell. And when I fell, he started kicking. Well, I was unconscious then for about 12 hours. He carried me home. He had to carry me home because I was unconscious. And when I came to in the morning, my face, you know, was literally like this through being kicked. When the swelling went down, I thought I couldn't see out of it because it was swollen up and closed right up. And when the swelling went down, I still couldn't see out of it. And I thought, well, when the bloodshot goes, I'll be able to see. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, I still couldn't see out of it. So then I had to go to the doctor, who sent me to the specialist, and it detached the retina, you know, at the back. It's all damaged at the back. He said it can be done, but it will never be perfect. I was 5 months pregnant when it first started. And if I was unlucky enough to fall down, then I would get kicked. Because he was too drunk to sort of pick me up, so I'd just get kicked. And the police were called once when he, as we were walking along the road, he ripped my dress right from the back right the way down, and I was almost naked. That was when I went into premature labour, through being, you know, kicked and punched around. The police took me straight up to the hospital. I went into premature labour.
We just used to laugh, you know, and say, you'll never go, where can you go? If you do go, I'll get custody of the children and all this, and he knew that I wouldn't leave them. I think probably now he's still in a state of shock because I don't think he thought I'd ever do it. But now that I have, all I feel is relief. I feel free somehow. I don't feel all on edge and frightened anymore, which is what I have been the last 12 years, I suppose. It's just got worse instead of better. I mean, you can only give so much. You can't give all the giving.
Maggie, put your feet on them. Oh, I can do that. One leg. You want to win it all, you do it. Look. You want a pogo stick, don't you? And one on in there. Watch it.
You just don't know whether... I mean, 1 minute he can be the sweetest person on earth, and then he'd change completely. He'd try and strangle me or slap me across the face 2 or 3 times, punch me in the stomach, threaten me with scissors. You just didn't know what to expect. I got so that I was afraid to say anything. It was either knocking me around or he had a very good way of saying things, really nasty things that used to hurt. I thought sometimes more than the hidings I used to get. Sometimes, well, most of the time after he'd given me a good hiding or called me all these names, after he'd gone to work I'd cry because I wouldn't cry in front of him. And Paul would stay up with me, you know, he'd say, I'm not going to bed until you go, in case you run away and all that sort of thing. And why doesn't Daddy love you anymore? Why does Daddy do this to you and that to you? I mean, it's the beatings and the sort of things. Sometimes he'd go for weeks without speaking to me at all, for no reason. I'd speak to him one day and he'd say, I'm not speaking to you, and that would be it. I used to think before, just after we were married, how can mothers run off and leave their children, but I can understand it now because I've been to the point many a time where I thought, I just can't take it. I'll wait till they're asleep, but I couldn't do it. I had to take them with me. I don't think I've got any confidence in myself now. I used to have. And when I used to go to work, the lady I worked for, she was a really nice person. I used to be happy there because I was away from him. But I have lost a lot of confidence. The things he used to say really used to make you feel as if you want to sink through the floor.
The violence, I don't think, is as bad as the fear of knowing every sort of Friday, Saturday and Sunday. You never know. when that door opens, whether you're going to get beaten or not. The fear of watching him walk up the road, you know, not knowing what mood he's going to come in. The fear, I think, is terrible, absolutely terrible. I never used to eat from Friday to Monday. This fear just churns you up inside, and I just couldn't eat or anything. When my son was 2 months old, if anybody banged a door or made a noise, he used to go stiff. His arms used to go stiff because of his father's kicking the door and, you know, throwing things around. Just banging and making a noise. Danny used to just go like in a fit. You know, it was horrible to watch him. And once that happened, I said, well, that's it. I must get out. And the last time I got out, I said, that's it. I won't go back now. Because it was affecting Danny.
Your old man.
Okay.
So turn your piss off.
Okay, man, not feeling well, yeah?
No, she's not feeling well. She's lying down. She's had a tooth up. No, she's had a tooth up. She's not feeling well.
Is she?
Hmm?
Let she come down.
She's had a tooth out. She's lying down. She feels really rotten. Okay?
Oh, Nora. Well, it should be heavily cold. No, I haven't. I was going to keep it out again.
I thought it'd be like a hostel, quite honestly, with, you know, separate rooms and a big communal kitchen. Something like that. I didn't expect it to be like it is. I mean, there's 18 women and 46 kids here at the moment. The lack of privacy, the noise, your own personal things around you, you know, that you can't have here. Getting on with other women, so many women. You know, we do get on. We get on quite well because we've all got the same problem, which helps. But it is a strain. You know, we all live under a strain because it's so hard to bring up children on your own. And I think in a community, it's much easier if a woman's got to bring 2 children up to have other women around. Otherwise, you're very lonely, I think. Unmarried mothers are very lonely, or mothers bringing up kids on their own are very lonely.
Yes. Mama's here. I'm not going. You know I don't go.
I didn't have anywhere to go. It was with Danny. If I didn't have him, it would have been easy to run, or you know, to get away and to find somewhere to live. But with Danny, there wasn't anywhere to go. I'd exhausted all the friends that I could stay with, and if I stay with friends anyway, he comes and batters their door and frightens their children, so I couldn't go to friends. So I just stayed and stayed and stayed until I read in our local paper about Chiswick Women's Aid. And I phoned up and they said, come along. You know, have you any alternative? And I said, yes, I'm going to walk the streets. So she said, come along. It's very upsetting, the first couple of days in this house. If you get over the first 2 days, you're all right. But the first 2 days are terrible. I had a lilo on the floor. That was my first bed. But at least I was safe. This is what I felt. You know, it was... Everybody, they rallied round and cooked my dinner for me and made Danny's bottle and, you know, all sorts of things. They looked after me for about a fortnight. And then, all of a sudden, I was able to cope. You know, now I'm doing the looking after. Now I'm looking after, if they come in, I cook their dinner and sort of try and nurse their kids and let them have a couple of days, you know, to really settle in. Because it's, there's so many people and so many kids and, you know, you can't think about your own problems because there's so much noise going on, which is very good, really.
Oh, I'm breakfast. I've got a pay coat on. So I've got this little blanket where
We've got quite a few long-term ones here. They can stay here, or the courts get their matrimonial homes back and they go back home. Or 50% of them go back home and it works out. You know, there are quite a lot of success stories lately. Once the husbands know that they can stay here indefinitely with their children, they change, and usually for the better. It's quite good, you know. Otherwise, I don't know, they just have to stay here.
Wait.
The bleeding sugar.
Do you leave any of that? Found it.
Get your bloody... And wake your bloody self up in the morning. Well, that stupid cow all the morning. You get up in that room and you fucking stand up today. Did you hear? And I'll teach you one way or the other, mate. That's the thing I mean to be done, not mucking about. Well, get away. Adrian, you get the watch. Now get up in that room, clean it all out. You're going to get something to do today. Yeah, you don't want to bloody thing your toe on. Go on, you hop it.
I can borrow. Millie's got right.
Here.
Yeah. Here.
Go ahead.
No, Maria. Well, have you got your colour butter from? Go do it. I have to do it, Tia. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, dear God.
You're all right.
In my degree.
I was in bed we was both in bed one night, and must have been about 1 o'clock in the morning. We heard this rumpus outside, so we decided to get up and have a look where it was. And it was a couple from further up the street, and the husband was beating the wife, and the husband was thoroughly disgusted.
Mom.
And he said, look at that, you know, isn't it disgusting, that man hitting his wife? I said, well, it's just the same as what you do to me. He said, oh, but that's different, you're my wife.
I think it's not so bad getting beaten up. It's bad at the time, but afterwards you feel relieved that it's all over. It's just the waiting until the next time that really gets you, you know. You're in fear of saying anything to him, anything to provoke him, you know. You're in fear of saying anything at all, really.
He'd be very nasty, beat you something terrible, and then the day after he'd be all over you, trying to make you breakfast and things like that, trying to say he was sorry and it wouldn't happen again. Then it'd happen again the following week and he'd say he was sorry again. You know, it just kept going on like that all the time. He thought to say sorry was enough.
I never realised, not until I got married, that he would have hit me or anything like that. We was living in a caravan, and this was about 2 weeks after I got married. He'd been going out every night. And because I said about it, I said, you know, we've only just got married, we should be staying in together. And he just picked up a shovel, you know, what you put coal on the fire with, and he threw that at me. And luckily that missed, but then he went to thump me. You know, he thumped me in the face, and he just drove off in his car.
Well, a fortnight prior to me leaving, he'd give me a really good hiding. He'd kick me up and down, and my face was a real mess. I couldn't comb my hair for a week, he pulled it that hard, and lumps all over my head and black eyes, and face was cut. And then he went away to work for 2 weeks, and then he came home the Saturday afternoon and started again, and he really frightened me the time before. I thought he was going to kill me, so this time, just that frightened me, just had to get out.
You know, you can't explain it really. It's so silly that the person hits you for no reason, you know.
Oh, go play, my darling. You can't get it
Because the one is the baby, is only 3 years old. The other's a girl of 7. Oh, dear. Solicitor says she'll definitely, listen to that, she'll definitely get children because of husband's cruelty and adultery.
Oh, it is the same number. That's what I
£100. He says, in answer to the appeal in the Methodist Recorder of July the 26th, and in gratitude for 59 years of happy married life, we enclosed the cheque for 100 quid. That'll keep us going for a week. It's not bad, is it? What's today sorted out? That's super. Because of our experiences, we're dealing largely with battered women. But we do take in any woman who has any kind of problem, alcohol, drugs, whatever. They have every right to come here. It started 2 years ago. I joined Women's Lib and looked at what they were doing and thought to myself, well, what I think Women's Lib is about is a practical community centres for mothers and kids in our own streets, which is what I started. And it grew from there, really, from just a handful of women into hundreds and hundreds. But in that time, several of the women in the original group were battered. Anne, I've just given Mr. Samuels the 3rd degree. I didn't realise. I didn't. Yours.
Wait.
Hey? What do you want to do with this?
Well, most of it is untrue.
Okay.
Except that one, isn't it? That's the best
That's a battered letter. Jean? Could you write? She's got a really bad problem, actually.
Yeah, okay.
And if the worst comes to the worst, she'll just have to come in and bring her kids. You can tell her how rough it is here. You know, I think this is the most important thing when you write and say come in, because... Yeah, no, well, it isn't, is it? Mind you, it will be. You get 2 levels of things. You get women who fall in through the door, and it's because it's safe. it's a palace as far as they're concerned, and they just settle in and make themselves at home and everything's fine. You get other women who find it much more difficult. Maybe the kind of battering they've been used to is more mental, and the strain for some women of giving up a really nice home they spent all their lives getting together, and by coming here, there's a chance they may never see any of that again. They're just going to have 2 plastic sacks full of clothes and their kids. No money, no future.
Oh, come on, wormhead. Oh, and he's dirty. He's got worms in his hands. They're all crawling. Oh. Oh, he's dirty. He brings beetles in and all sorts.
It's going to be a naturalist, you can tell.
Oh, he says to me, Mum, look what I've got now. Oh, beetles. Oh. They're horrible, aren't they?
Wife battering, I think, is when it gets much further than actually throwing a cup of coffee or a plate, which I've done in my time. It's really when a woman is physically very badly beaten. And not that I condone slapping and punching, but it does happen. It's more that you could say that most of the women that have come here have been victims of broken jaws, broken noses, fractures, fingers burnt, kidneys kicked. An awful lot of kicking in the spine goes on. This kind of actually irrational violence where the man completely loses control of himself and doesn't stop until she's usually unconscious. And also, obviously, some of them turn on the children as well.
Is there any action that the police take in situations like this?
No. According to the police, they can, on certain occasions, have the husband up for grievous bodily harm. But it's almost impossible, because if they're called to a scene of violence and they bang on the door and the husband comes to the door and says, go away, in fact, he has the right to tell them to go away. They're trespassing on his property. If they decide that he's really killing her and insist on going in, they can go in, they can take him away, and they can bring him up in front of a magistrate. The chances are, the last case we had where a woman had a broken nose and cracked ribs and a kicked spine, it was a £5 fine. So the police really don't bother very much. I think they get as disheartened as everybody else.
Is it difficult to get women to testify against their husbands?
Well, put yourself in her position. If somebody mugged you on the streets and beat you up, and then you were left in that man's company for 2 days, and the police were coming back to get a statement of him, do you think you might change your mind by Monday morning?
Well, that might, yeah.
I think this is exactly the problem, that you cannot leave the woman in the house with the man and expect her to put up with being harassed and terrorized by him. Of course she's going to change her mind by even the next morning. He simply says, like in one case, he stood behind the door with the knife at the children's throats when the police came. She opened the door and told the police to piss off. What else could she do?
What about local authorities?
Well, it's a ridiculous situation with the local authority. A woman who goes to the local authority, the social services in fact, and says, I've been beaten up. In one case, she stood there, she had 4 children. The older one was 14. She had been throttled by the husband and thrown down the stairs. The mother was badly bruised and said to the social worker, I've been battered, can you take me in? They said, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. You have a home to go back to. Go home and we will visit your husband. She said, but I don't dare go home. And they said, well, the only solution is we can take your children into care and you'll have to find somewhere for yourself. And I think as far as the social workers are concerned, it's not so much even based on any kind of theory. It's based purely on the fact there is no pigeonhole for a woman who's battered. She's not technically homeless, therefore there's no need to rehouse her. No. Well, there's 66 of us here at the moment.
Come it in. Go in, go in. Playing on the bed. No one. Playing down there. Go and get your no, leave it here, and I promise I won't take it away. I promise. All right, now go and get yourself some paper. Quickly, over there in the
Why? It's a happy painting.
Oh, I know, but it's all right.
Don't be all tidy-minded. That's really
I've been
beautiful.
PPA trained, and it just doesn't work like that. Everybody's supposed to have little plastic aprons on and look all over. Ah, but this is Pizzey Women's Aid, isn't it?
Well, he did the first picture, but he wouldn't. I thought
Yes.
he was like that.
How long had you known him before you married?
2 years.
And was he violent then?
No, we was all right before. We had, you know, little arguments, but no violence.
When did the violence start?
2 weeks after I got married. He'd been used to living on his own and having his own ways, and he's very set in his ways. And I think it was too big a change for him to, you know, after living so long on his own, to suddenly be living with somebody and having to share things. You know, he'd often come in from work and he wouldn't talk to me for days. He would just sit and watch television, and if I spoke to him, he'll say I'm disturbing him. And he wanted to be alone at times. You know, instead of realising, well, now he's a married man and he's got a family, that there's other people around, he still wanted to live as though he was single. It's not as if I was plaguing him, I was nagging him all the time, but he'd come in, he'll say hello, and that's it. And he just don't want me to speak to him, he just wanted to be left completely alone.
Did you ever try and talk to him and tell him that you weren't happy with him?
Well, I tried to make him realise that he's not living on his own anymore, you know, and he's got a family now, that he should, you know, come in. And, I mean, I was at home all day, and after being at home all day and he came home, I was glad for somebody to talk to. And, you know, I wanted company, and he didn't. You know, he came from work and he just wanted to be alone. Like, he had people at work all day, and he'd come home and he wanted to be alone, and I was alone all day. And when he came home, I wanted company. Yeah.
When, after he beat you, did you talk about, you know, saying, look, if you don't stop doing this, I'm going to leave?
Yes, I'd say to him often that I'm going to leave, you know. And he just thought I was mad. He just, you know, I could never really get him to understand, because, you know, he just thought he was doing right all the time.
Tom, who was keeping a lookout with his telescope, had just...
It's a lot to do with the fairy stories of the princess kissing the frog. And a really successful princess makes a prince out of the frog. And the failure means that the frog just remains a frog. And I think that there's all this myth about how the love of a good woman can change any man. So if you failed, you're a bad woman. And there's an awful lot behind it, all that white wedding stuff. And what's really happens is that because we're all brought up to believe that a family unit is a loving, gentle place, we prefer to believe that. It's sort of the horrifying thing of a woman who came in who was agoraphobic. She was with us for about 3 weeks, just visiting us. And then she said that she'd never told anybody in her life that she'd been beaten, unconscious, all her married life. She brought up 9 children. Most of them are now in trouble. And she'd never, ever gone anywhere for help or told anybody or shown anybody. She stayed indoors when she was badly bruised and in bed when she couldn't move from the beating. You know, it makes you realize how bad it is for some people. I think the biggest thing that women discover when they come here is that women actually quite like women. We're all trained to believe that we can only relate to men. That in fact your future is with this one husband and 2 children, and you might have one friend, but in fact there's something suspicious about a woman who gets on well with other women. But here, because everybody is together, it's amazing how well and how happy people can get on. I was looking forward to it too. All right.
And so was I.
Right, I'm off.
So I had it.
I'll see you 3 o'clock. All right, I'm going to go and get these presents. I'm getting air fixtures for your boys. I'll keep them quiet for a bit. Yeah, what do the girls want? What's she like? She's got it. I'll find her something anyway. Okay, Anthony, darling. Come on, Ant. We're going off now, darling. You go. All right. All right. No, don't start. No, it's all right. It's all right. Listen. I'm coming back at 3 o'clock. Right? You let me go. And I'll come back at 3 o'clock and I'll bring you something nice, okay? Would you like that? Yes? Let me hear you say yes. Come on. What would you like? I'll bring you back something nice. Shall I at 3 o'clock? Okay? I've got to go go up and buy it.
All right? You sit with Winnie. Okay? You sit with Win. They'll be back in a minute. Oh, quick. It's all right, love. I'll tell you what, I've got an idea. Come on, we'll go find you somebody to cling to that's standing up. You prefer them standing up. All the children here, when you talk to them, and I think it's the saddest thing, are in a great deal of confusion about what's happening to them and why. Here we have what? I think last month something like 159 children through. Those children have seen scenes that none of us have probably seen. I don't know if any of you come from battered homes. But those kids have seen things that probably the majority of families have never experienced and never will experience. So, and it's quite interesting how little they say about it. One or two come in and talk all the time about the violence, but on the whole it's very contained and it's not discussed, except occasionally you'll notice an eruption of violence, and then it's very violent. They don't fight like ordinary children who wrestle. They fight really to kill, and they have to be stopped. And I know that some of the adults who take them on to have a little game with them find very soon that they've been punched in the stomach or hit in the mouth. And they're quite bewildered because they're not used to boys of 8 and 9 fighting to hurt. But the boys don't understand the limits of violence because in their home life there's only one kind of violence. That's a sort of killer instinct. So they've really got to start all over again.
Yeah, what's the situation? Yeah, what's been happening? What's been happening? You've been beaten. But you have in the past. Where are you? Hounslow. Have you been in touch with a social worker or anything? You're at Chiswick Police Station now. Okay, do you know where we are? Okay. Right, bye. It's all just sort of makeshift, really. I mean, as you can see, we've been given this super house by Bovis. But the government, a lot of sympathy from the government, but no money. We're now trying to negotiate with Social Security for some rent, but for 2 years we've had no money at all, putting people up. You know, eventually we'll get our urban aid grant, but that's only for specific things.
Many of these children have never really had parties because the situation at home was such that those sort of things were never celebrated. And whenever we find out it's one of the children's birthdays, we try and give a party. They all enjoy it enormously, and with this many children in the community, we seem to have parties almost every day.
They're filthy. Did you come to that? Mama, can I have some corn? You'll have yours in a minute, Poppy. wants to come away from Ireland, doesn't he?
I think it's good.
There we are. There's lots of fresh paper there, all right?
Oh my God. Cut that one.
If you've got yours, yes,
Yes, let's see who's got.
John, Erin, you got yours move out of the way.
Who's here? Here. He's gonna find the thing. There's toffee on that one. Who wants toffee?
I mean, I think for many of the women here will continue to live in communities of other women and children. Many may go off and marry again. Many may have boyfriends. But there is possible alternatives for women who've had very bad experiences in marriage. From Women's Aid point of view, we've had an offer of a vicarage from a young property tycoon, I think you could describe him, in Bristol, which will be fabulous. That'll start our first community. And we hope to spread that way. The best and the happiest situation, certainly for children, is a stable marriage. But it isn't possible for everybody. It's one of those difficult things to achieve anyway.
Wait, dirty face. The plum bubbles, isn't it? No. Okay.
And? Okay. Oh, that's right.
Converge.
Robbie, do you want a piece?
Are you in blue? You in the blue? Nigel, for Christ's sake, you can't carry all that. No, stop it. Please control the team.
Look, the kids are playing
Anyone want to play with breakfast?
You blow.
Can you tell me how you came here?
I lived in a truck.
Sorry,
I got lived in a truck.
why did you get a lift on a truck?
Because my husband was going to beat me up.
Does he often beat you?
Yeah, all the time.
Does he have any reason for beating you?
Yeah.
What reason?
Because of a little boy said my beater. My husband said I was a freak. I only have freak children. He said that he hates me. It's going to make me suffer and going to make me pay.
Pay for what? Why did you pay? Has he always beaten you?
Yeah.
Even before you were married?
No.
What was it like before you were married?
It was very nice.
Did you go out with him?
Yeah.
Did you know he was violent at that?
No. It wasn't. He was nice. It was very nice.
When you married him, did it change?
Yeah. Just used to hit me, slap me, kick me. I was putting up with that until up to about 6 months ago. And he got worse. He went like a sadist. And he used to twist my arms and jump on them and twist my legs, bite me in the chest, pour scalding water over me, spit on me, and go toilet on me, horrible things.
Why did you put up with it for so long?
I was willing to accept the other way he was, you know, supposed to sit me and kick me just for security. And so, you know, I'd have the kids and I'd have the house and he'd be supporting me. But then when he started to get worse and worse, I just couldn't stand it.
When you said it was getting worse and worse, what were the things that you did to stop it?
Like about 3 weeks ago, 7 o'clock in the morning, he twisted my arm
and put it over his shoulder. And he jumped and it all cracked. And I got police and they took me to hospital and torn all the ligaments in my arm. And the police just brought me home again and told me that there was nothing they could do. That, you know, I'd have to get out. That my husband seemed to be a maniac for what he was doing to me. But I just didn't have anywhere to go.
Did you talk to him about?
Yeah. I begged him and pleaded with him every day to stop it and try and settle down. And he just wouldn't. He just kept saying how he hated me, that he was going to make me pay and I was going to suffer.
He keeps saying he was going to make you pay. What
Yeah. Nothing. I hadn't done anything wrong. He didn't accuse me of going out with other men because I didn't do it. He knew I didn't do it and never accused me of that. But he used to call me all names and he used to get drunk and, you know, open the door and throw me out. And he'd scream for all the neighbours to look. And then he'd say, look, Rush, she's an old lag. Neighbours have seen him, neighbours have heard him.
What made you actually run out of that?
See, he woke me up on Tuesday night and he started slapping me and hitting me and kicking me and throwing me out of the bed. And kids got very upset. And he got up and he put them down and he started hitting me again. And he went downstairs and he slept. And when I got up next morning, there was a note on the table telling me I was going to pay when they come home from work. So I went out to do shopping with the kids. And I was afraid. I was sick. I'm sick of him hitting me. And I went up to his job and I asked him what was he going to do to me when he came home. So he said he was coming out of his work and he got his stuff. And we was walking down the road and he was walking behind me and he was saying how he was going to smash my face in when he got me at home. And he was getting nearer and nearer to me all the time. There was this truck coming and I don't know what made me do. I just put out my hand and the truck stopped and I jumped in and it was too late then.
What did you say to the lorry driver? What did you say to the lorry driver?
I was crying. He asked me, did I run away with my boyfriend and my parents? I didn't say anything to him, so we were a good bit away. Then I told him. So he asked me where did I want to go. I said I didn't know where I was going. I had no money, no clothes, nothing. So he said he was going as far as London. And if I wanted, he'd take me there. So I said, yeah.
When you got to London, where did you go?
I don't know, he just opened the lorry and said I was in West End or something. And I just got out and I was walking around and I tried to get a job in a hotel where I'd live in. Until I thought I was going to do with me something. I couldn't get a job, so I went to Social Security. And they sent me up to the Labour. And then the Labour sent me to Social Services. And then Social Services wrote down the address of the other place. And that's how I come to be here. He said I wasn't dare put his hands on him, that he... And I was only shit, and I was there to be better. All them things he was doing. He said I was a size there, but...
Do you think a lot of women have put up with things like that?
That they do.
Why do you think that is?
Eh?
Why is that? Do you know?
Well, I put up with it for 6 years, because I had nowhere to go. I was afraid.
What about going home?
I can't go.
Why can't you go home?
Because I went home before. John made trouble at home.
What do you mean he made trouble?
And he used to come and when we weren't living together, I had to live with my mum and the kids. And he used to come and he used to beat me up at night in bed. And he'd tell my mum he only wanted to see me and I wouldn't tell them what was happening. And one night she made our Geraldine listen at the bottom of the stairs. And my mum heard him. And when she went up and gave out to him, he said he'd do something for her in the papers and make a show of my family. And he went down and he got all his friends from Sallynoggin where he lives. And they robbed the shop where my mum deals and they all got caught and it was in the papers. And see, and he do terrible things like that.
What's your life living with somebody?
Horrible. It's like a nightmare. You never know when he's going to turn. You never know when you're doing anything right. And sometimes he can convince you that you're doing it. It's your fault.
When you said you convinced you that it was your fault, in what way? Why would he make you think it's your fault?
He just saying how you started, how you know you started all that. I wouldn't have started it all. Like the time when he gave me my wages and he had more pocket money than what I had wages. And I had to buy him cigarettes every night over his money. And one Wednesday night, I hadn't got enough money to buy him cigarettes. So he started hitting me, and I started screaming. And then he started kicking me and boxing me down onto the ground. And then after, when it was all over, he made me tea, and he said it was my fault.
Do you love it?
No.
What about the children? What do they think of it?
They're all right. John Paul, that's the baby. Well, he's 3.5. When my husband starts him, he goes hysterical and tries to pull John off. Say, Bar Cindy, she just kind of stands there and accepts all like what she's saying, because she's been seeing it since she was a baby.
Do you think his children are going to grow up disturbed?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think he was irresponsible to walk away leaving the children?
Me? Yeah. I didn't know what to do. I had to go back to the house and then murder me or do something. I didn't want to leave the kids. I've never left the kids since I had them.
What about if you went back with the police?
Please don't do nothing. Please just come, and if you need to go to hospital, take you to hospital and bring you home and tell you that there's nothing they can do. And then, you see, my husband just laughs at that when they're gone then.
I just couldn't get through to him. I just couldn't make him understand. So many women that are beaten up that'll understand. Other women, they think, well, you're exaggerating, or you're hysterical, or you're just making it up, or, you know, that if your husband is beating you up, he must be beating you up for a reason. You know, I've said it to a lot of people, and they say, oh, no man will just hit somebody for a slight argument, or, you know, just for no reason. So they just don't believe you. And some people, you know, they don't want to know, because if you keep telling people all the time that your problems, you know, they get fed up. You know, and after a while you become very lonely, because I used to write letters, you know, put my thoughts, how I felt, in letters, because there was nobody to listen. You couldn't really talk to him because he just thought he was seeing right. And if I said to him, not everybody beats their wife up, they may have arguments and disagreements, you know, he didn't believe it, and he'll get angry. And he'd tell me I'm lucky anyway, because he's not so bad. He never talked about the good side. He never talked about, you know, people got married and they tried to do this, and it was never for the best. It was always, you know, the worst. He was always picking out, or reading in the papers that a husband did this to his wife or did that. He never looked at it as being something to be happy or to live for.
What do you think is going to happen to you now?
I've no idea. All I hope is that I can find somewhere for me and the children to live and start again.
Do you think you'll have any problems with getting jobs, making people understand?
Well, unless, I suppose it is difficult for people to understand. I told you I'm a jinx, didn't I? Well, I think people do tend to look down on divorced couples. But unless you've been in a situation where, what can I say? When it's either putting up with a good beating for the rest of your life and having the children miserable and nervy and that sort of thing, it's either a divorce or a life of misery. And I think you owe it to the children, really. I mean, I had a wonderful, happy childhood, you know, and my kids haven't had it.